Welcome. Tonight, we invite you into a peaceful corner of the universe, a place where familiar heroes gather to fight the darkness of the night. Thanos, the dark savior. The skies above New York City crackle with energy as portals tear open, allowing the forces of evil to pour in. The Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes, are called to action. But this is no ordinary invasion. This is a coordinated assault by a coalition of villains more powerful than any they've faced before. The air is thick with smoke and the scent of burning debris as explosions ripple through the skyline. Iron Man is the first to arrive on the scene, his armor glistening as he hovers above the wreckage. Below, civilians run in terror as waves of alien soldiers, led by Annihilus, swarm the streets. The ground quakes as the Hulk crashes down beside Iron Man, ready for battle, but there is something ominous in the air. This is not a random attack. It is a declaration of war. Captain America, ever the leader, rallies the team. Thor, the god of thunder, calls down a bolt of lightning that strikes the ground with enough force to shatter windows for miles. Black Widow and Hawkeye weave through the chaos, their movements precise, taking down enemies with unmatched precision. The Avengers fight valiantly, but they soon realize that this is not just a physical assault. It's a multi-pronged attack. Annihilus is not alone. Mephisto, the ruler of Hell, has struck a bargain with Dormammu, and together they have amplified the power of their minions, making them nearly unstoppable. Far away in the astral realm, Doctor Strange senses the disturbance but finds himself trapped in a mystic bind, his power sealed by a curse laid upon him by Dormammu. The Sorcerer Supreme struggles to break free, his failure leaving the Avengers without their most potent magical defense. The battle spreads across continents, each Avenger pushed to their limit. In Wakanda, Black Panther faces off against a horde of creatures unleashed by Annihilus, his vibranium-laced city under siege. In space, Captain Marvel fights a desperate struggle against the incoming fleets, but they are too many. The villains have prepared for every possible countermeasure, each attack a calculated move in a grand game of chess. As the battle rages on, Thanos watches from a distant moon, his throne bathed in the cold glow of the cosmos. He observes with keen interest, though he remains silent, unmoved by the chaos that unfolds on Earth. For now, he is content to watch, knowing that the universe is about to change forever. His past encounters with the Avengers have left him with a deep understanding of their power, but even he is surprised by the magnitude of the assault. In New York, the tide begins to turn. The Avengers, despite their strength, are slowly being overwhelmed. Iron Man's suit is damaged, his systems failing as he takes blow after blow. Thor, battling a demon twice his size, finds his strength faltering. The Hulk, maddened by the destruction around him, begins to lose control, his rampage as dangerous to the city as it is to his enemies. Then, the unthinkable happens. Captain America, the heart of the team, is struck down. Annihilus himself delivers the blow, a devastating strike that sends the super soldier's shield flying across the battlefield. Time seems to slow as Captain America collapses to the ground, blood staining the star on his chest. The Avengers falter, their spirits crushed by the sight of their fallen leader. The streets go quiet for a moment, as if the world itself is mourning. In the aftermath, chaos resumes. The Avengers, disorganized and demoralized, fight desperately, but without Captain America's leadership, they struggle to hold the line. Iron Man attempts to take charge, issuing commands over the comms, but the team is scattered. Black Widow and Hawkeye are pinned down in the ruins of a collapsed building. Thor, barely standing, calls out for Mjolnir, but his strength wanes. Meanwhile, the villains continue their relentless assault. Mephisto's dark magic engulfs the battlefield, twisting reality itself. Demons crawl out of the shadows, grabbing at the legs of the Avengers, pulling them into pits of fire. Dormammu looms in the sky, his dark form blotting out the sun as he spreads his influence across the globe. And then, one by one, the Avengers fall. The Hulk, brought to his knees by a combination of Annihilus' advanced weaponry and the mental manipulation of Mephisto, is the next to go. Thor, drained of his godly power, is cast down by Dormammu, his hammer lying far out of reach. Iron Man fights until the bitter end, his suit barely functional, before collapsing in a final explosion of energy. The Avengers have been defeated. Earth's mightiest heroes lie broken, scattered across the battlefield. The villains, triumphant, stand over their fallen foes. Annihilus, Mephisto, and Dormammu claim victory, knowing that the galaxy is now theirs to conquer. In the silence that follows, the world holds its breath. The age of heroes is over, and somewhere, watching from the shadows, Thanos smiles. His time is coming, but for now he waits, knowing that only he can restore balance to the universe. But at what cost? Across the war-torn cosmos, the villains who had once operated in isolation, each pursuing their own twisted ambitions, now find themselves drawn together. A convergence of power is brewing, one that will shake the very foundations of the galaxy. As the Avengers lay defeated, their absence leaves a vacuum of power that threatens to destabilize the entire universe. And in this chaos, the most dangerous forces of evil see an opportunity. Annihilus, the insectoid warlord of the Negative Zone, is the first to act. Having crushed the Avengers and expanded his dominion over Earth, he now sets his gaze upon the greater galaxy. His fortress, a colossal structure of dark, alien metal, pulses with the energy of his growing armies. The Annihilation Wave, his endless horde of destructive creatures, spreads across star systems like a plague, consuming everything in its path. Civilizations crumble under his relentless assault. Annihilus seeks total conquest, not just of the material world, but of all existence. His hatred for all life fuels his ambition, and he views himself as the rightful ruler of the universe. In the depths of the Negative Zone, Annihilus prepares his forces for the next phase of his invasion. His general, the insectoid Queen Proxima, reports the latest victories. Star systems once loyal to the Kree and Skrull empires now burn under the might of the Annihilation Wave. Annihilus, seated upon his throne of chitin and steel, relishes the reports of destruction. Yet, even he knows that the universe is vast, and to claim it entirely, he will need more than just brute force. He requires allies, others who can strike at the galaxy from different angles, each contributing to the ultimate downfall of life. It is in this moment that Annihilus Communications' array flickers to life. A transmission comes through, one not from any known source, but from the farthest, darkest reaches of the cosmos. A voice emerges from the static, a voice dripping with malice and cunning. It is Mephisto, the ruler of Hell, speaking from his infernal dimension. Mephisto, having witnessed the fall of the Avengers and the chaos sweeping the galaxy, sees a unique opportunity to extend his own influence beyond his dark realm. The souls of the fallen heroes are tantalizing, but they are not enough. Mephisto craves something larger, something far more ambitious, the very essence of the galaxy's collective soul. Mephisto proposes a pact, an alliance not born of trust or camaraderie, but of necessity. He offers Annihilus the power of hell itself. In exchange, Mephisto demands a share of the spoils, dominion over the spiritual realm of every world they conquer. Annihilus, though proud and disdainful of magic, recognizes the value in what Mephisto offers. Dark forces, beyond even his comprehension, could tip the balance in his favor. He agrees, though his intentions remain his own, for in the mind of Annihilus, there is no true partnership, only tools to be used and discarded. The alliance between Annihilus and Mephisto sets off a chain reaction throughout the galaxy. Other villains, sensing the growing storm, begin to stir. From the twisted dimension known as the Dark Dimension, Dormammu watches with burning eyes. The powerful sorcerer, a being of pure malevolent energy, has long sought to expand his mystical empire beyond the confines of his dimension. The fall of the Avengers, combined with the chaos sweeping the universe, has weakened the barriers between realities. Dormammu knows that now, more than ever, is the time to strike. The universe itself is vulnerable, and he plans to subjugate it to his dark will. Dormammu reaches out through the mystical ether, his power resonating across realities. He contacts both Annihilus and Mephisto, offering his own services to their growing coalition. With Dormammu's command over dark magic, the villains gain access to forces far beyond the physical. He offers them the ability to manipulate time, reality, and space itself, opening portals to allow for even faster domination of the universe. Dormammu does not seek territory or wealth. His desires are more primal. He wants to see the universe itself consumed by his mystical fire, with all beings enslaved to his will. The villains, now bound together in a tenuous alliance, begin to plot their next move. Annihilus, with his unstoppable wave of destruction, will crush the physical worlds, while Mephisto corrupts the souls of the fallen and Dormammu warps reality to suit their needs. But even as they make their plans, a sense of distrust lingers between them. Each villain harbors their own secret agenda, none truly loyal to the others. Annihilus sees himself as the ultimate ruler of all existence, while Mephisto schemes to twist the minds of his allies, ensuring that their eventual downfall will feed his infernal power. Dormammu, ever the master manipulator, watches both, waiting for the moment when their ambitions will lead them to destroy one another. Even as this dark alliance solidifies, other powerful beings from across the galaxy take notice. The galactic warlords, the crime syndicates, and the power-hungry tyrants. Each feels the growing convergence of power, and many decide to join the cause. Ulik, the savage troll of Asgard, swears his loyalty to Annihilus, drawn by the promise of endless destruction and chaos. The Brood, a race of parasitic aliens, align themselves with Mephisto, offering their hive-minded army in exchange for dominion over the carcasses of the fallen worlds. And in the dark corners of space, countless other warlords, mercenaries, and tyrants see their chance to carve out pieces of the galaxy for themselves. As the coalition of villains grows, their power becomes undeniable. Entire sectors of the galaxy fall under their control, and the once mighty empires of the Kree, Skrull, and Shi'ar crumble before their might. No longer are these isolated attacks, this is now a full-scale galactic conquest. The stars themselves seem to dim as the forces of evil spread like a virus, each villain carving out their domain, each hungering for more. But even as this dark convergence reaches its apex, there is one who watches from the shadows, unaligned with any of them. Thanos, the Mad Titan, remains a silent observer. He sees the alliance for what it is, a temporary marriage of convenience between egos too large to coexist for long. He knows that the true battle has yet to begin, for the universe is vast, and the balance of power, even now, teeters on a knife's edge. Thanos waits, knowing that in the end, it will not be Annihilus, Mephisto, or Dormammu who rules the galaxy. It will be the one who understands that power, unchecked, leads only to destruction, and that in the ashes of their downfall, only one will rise to bring order to the chaos. The Mad Titan knows his time is coming. He will wait for the perfect moment to strike, For when the convergence of villains ultimately collapses under its own weight, it will be he who stands alone, the savior of a universe brought to its knees. As the galaxy collapses under the weight of darkness, Thanos, ever the master of patience and calculation, watches the devastation unfold. His seat on the dead moon of Titan offers a perfect vantage point, far from the eyes of the chaotic forces ravaging the universe. The Mad Titan had not intervened in the fall of the Avengers, nor had he lifted a finger as Annihilus hordes swept through entire star systems. But now, the encroaching annihilation threatens more than just the empires of mortals. It threatens the very balance of the universe, the equilibrium that Thanos has long sought to preserve, even if his methods had once been driven by his obsessive desire to please death. The galaxy's collapse pulls at the corners of his mind. He knows that if the villains are left unchecked, there will be nothing left for him to control, nothing to conquer, and nothing to balance. With the Avengers gone and no forces strong enough to oppose Annihilus, Mephisto, and Dormammu, Thanos must make a decision, one he does not relish. He is not a hero, nor does he seek glory. But in the face of absolute destruction, Thanos understands that the universe needs him. The silence of Titan is shattered by the arrival of Nebula. Thanos' estranged and vengeful adopted daughter had long sought to destroy him, yet here she was, pleading for his help. Her ship touches down on the barren moon, its hull still scorched from her recent battle with Annihilus forces. Nebula's once fierce and defiant demeanor is subdued, replaced by a weariness born of desperation. She steps out to face the father she loathes, but beneath her hatred lies a simple truth. Thanos is the only one left with the power to challenge the forces tearing the universe apart. She stands before him, her voice steady, though laced with resentment. The galaxy is burning, and if you do nothing, you will have nothing left to rule. Thanos does not respond at first. His cold eyes scan her face, searching for any sign of deception. He knows Nebula too well, knows the depth of her hatred, yet he also understands that the situation is dire. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Thanos speaks. His voice is calm, almost dismissive. Do you come here out of concern for the galaxy, or to save your own wretched life? Nebula's fists tighten, her frustration barely contained. Both, she admits. Annihilus, Mephisto, Dormammu, they will destroy everything. Me, everyone. You can stop them, but you won't do it out of the goodness of your heart. You'll do it because you have no choice. Thanos rises from his seat, his towering form casting a long shadow over Nebula. His mind races through the possibilities, weighing the risks and rewards. He despises being backed into a corner, yet the truth is undeniable. The galaxy cannot survive the unchecked spread of these villains, and if they succeed, there will be nothing left for him to control. He nods slowly, his decision made. Very well, but understand this, what I do for my own reasons. Do not mistake my actions for mercy. Nebula, relieved but wary, steps back as Thanos activates the communication systems aboard his ship. His voice echoes across the stars, sending out a signal to those who still might have the strength or the desire to fight back. He knows that raw power alone will not be enough. He will need those who have something to lose, those who harbor grudges against the forces now ruling the galaxy. And so, his message reaches Ronan the Accuser, a fallen Kree warrior burning with a thirst for vengeance. Ronan, once a proud enforcer of Kree law, now finds himself adrift, his people scattered, their empire crumbling under the onslaught of Annihilus armies. When the signal from Thanos reaches him, Ronan hesitates. The Accuser has no love for the Mad Titan, but his hatred for Annihilus burns hotter. Thanos offers Ronan something no one else can, an opportunity to strike back, to reclaim some semblance of honor. With little left to lose, Ronan responds to the call. He will fight, not for Thanos, but for revenge. He makes his way to Titan, his ship limping through the battered remains of the Kree territories. As Ronan arrives, another figure emerges from the shadows. Beta Ray Bill, the noble Corbinite warrior, wielder of Stormbreaker, has fought many battles, but the war against Annihilus has left him broken. His people are gone, their worlds consumed by the annihilation wave. He is a warrior without a cause, a hero without hope. Yet, deep within him, a spark remains. Bill, driven by a need to avenge his fallen people, knows that he cannot defeat Annihilus alone. When he hears of Thanos' call to arms, he answers reluctantly, knowing that even the Mad Titan may be the universe's last hope. The meeting on Titan is tense. Thanos, Nebula, Ronan, and Beta Ray Bill each harbors their own agendas, their own grudges. But they all understand the stakes. Thanos lays out his plan with cold efficiency. Annihilus, Mephisto, and Dormammu are united, but their alliance is fragile, built on mutual greed and distrust. Thanos knows that they must strike at the heart of this alliance, driving a wedge between the villains before their grip on the galaxy becomes unbreakable. Their first target is Annihilus. Thanos explains that the insectoid warlord is the key to the villain's conquest. His annihilation wave is the physical force that holds their territories, and without it, the other villains will be weakened. But Annihilus is no fool. He will be heavily fortified in his stronghold within the negative zone, protected by legions of warriors and nearly impenetrable defenses. Ronan, bristling with anger, volunteers to lead the assault. His hatred for Annihilus runs deep, and he is eager for the chance to bring down the creature that destroyed his people. Thanos, ever the strategist, agrees but warns Ronan that brute force alone will not be enough. They will need a distraction, something to draw Annihilus forces away from his stronghold. Beta Ray Bill suggests a diversionary strike on one of Annihilus' forward command bases, a move that will force the warlord to shift his forces, leaving his stronghold vulnerable. With the plan in place, the group prepares for what will be a brutal and dangerous mission. Thanos is well aware that this alliance is fragile. Ronan's thirst for vengeance, Nebula's hatred for him, and Beta Ray Bill's noble disdain for his methods. All of it simmers beneath the surface. But Thanos does not care about their loyalty. He cares only for results. He knows that if they fail, the galaxy is lost, and if they succeed, it will be by his hand. The ships lift off from Titan, heading toward the heart of the negative zone. As they travel through the cold void of space, Thanos sits in silence, his mind already calculating the next steps. He knows that this battle is only the beginning. The real challenge lies not just in defeating Annihilus, but in outmaneuvering Mephisto and Dormammu. But for now, his focus is clear. The first strike must succeed, and Annihilus must fall. Only then will Thanos truly begin to cement his role as the reluctant savior of the galaxy. As the strike force led by Thanos, Ronan, Beta Ray Bill, and Nebula descends upon the heart of Annihilus' empire, the galaxy teeters on the edge of collapse. The negative zone, a hellish dimension of warped space and time, serves as the base of Annihilus' reign. Here, amidst swirling energy storms and alien landscapes, the warlord commands his annihilation wave, an endless horde of insectoid creatures, each bred for the sole purpose of destruction. Annihilus sits at the center of it all, within his impregnable stronghold, an enormous fortress of alien technology and living metal, pulsating with dark energy. The plan, devised by Thanos, hinges on a precise and daring assault. Beta Ray Bill's diversionary strike had drawn part of Annihilus' forces away, forcing the warlord to commit a significant portion of his fleet to defending his outer territories. But even with the distraction, the fortress remains heavily fortified, surrounded by a fleet of warships and battalions of Annihilus soldiers. Thanos knows that this will not be a battle of brute strength alone. It will require cunning, precision, and a deep understanding of the enemy's weaknesses. Thanos, ever the strategist, has already anticipated the weaknesses of Annihilus defenses. The fortress, while formidable, relies on an ancient power source deep within the negative zone. If they can sever its connection, they can temporarily disable the energy shields that make the fortress nearly indestructible. But to reach this power source, they will have to navigate through layers of defenses and defeat Annihilus' most elite warriors. The strike begins as Thanos leads the small but powerful force directly into the heart of the Annihilation fleet. The ships move swiftly, cutting through space, each member of the group focused on their role. Ronan's ship, an armored behemoth bristling with Kree weaponry, leads the charge, smashing through the outer layers of Annihilus' fleet with devastating force. The Accuser, filled with a cold fury, directs his ship's cannons toward the enemy vessels, reducing them to debris in a matter of seconds. Ronan is relentless, his thirst for vengeance pushing him to strike harder, faster, as he cuts a path toward the fortress. Behind him, Beta Ray Bill follows closely, his ship sleek and agile, darting through the chaos. Stormbreaker, his enchanted weapon, hums with energy as he prepares for the inevitable confrontation. Bill's mind is focused on the task at hand. This is more than just another battle for him. The destruction of his people still weighs heavily on his heart, and every blow he lands against Annihilus forces is a small measure of retribution. As the fleet closes in on the fortress, Annihilus forces begin to respond in full force. Swarms of insectoid soldiers launch from the fortress, filling the void of space with their grotesque forms. These creatures, engineered for war, move with terrifying speed and coordination, their razor-sharp limbs and bioorganic weapons slicing through anything in their path. But Thanos, calm and calculating, has anticipated this. With a simple command, the strike force deploys a wave of explosives, scattering the swarm and creating a path directly to the fortress. Once the strike force breaches the outer defenses, they land on the surface of the fortress itself. The structure is vast, a labyrinth of twisted corridors and alien technology. Annihilus elite guards, towering insectoid warriors clad in black armor, rush to meet them. The battle is brutal and chaotic, the narrow corridors filled with the sounds of clashing weapons and the screams of the dying. Ronan, swinging his mighty universal weapon, cuts through the guards with ruthless efficiency. Every swing of his hammer sends shockwaves through the walls, disintegrating his foes in an instant. His rage is palpable, driving him forward with unstoppable momentum. Beta Ray Bill charges alongside Ronan, his strength and speed unmatched. Stormbreaker cleaves through the insectoid warriors, lightning crackling from the weapon's edge as Bill unleashes the full fury of his power. Despite the overwhelming odds, he fights with a single-minded focus, his eyes fixed on the path ahead. The memories of his fallen people fuel his every strike, pushing him beyond his limits. Nebula, meanwhile, uses her agility and cunning to outmaneuver the enemy. Her cybernetic enhancements give her a lethal edge, allowing her to slip through the chaos, delivering deadly strikes with precision. Though her hatred for Thanos remains, she knows that survival depends on cooperation, at least for now. She fights with a cold efficiency, her mind constantly calculating her next move. As the group pushes deeper into the fortress, they reach the central chamber where the power source lies. A massive, pulsating core of energy, connected by a network of conduits, hums with raw power. Thanos steps forward, his eyes narrowing as he examines the structure. With a wave of his hand, he commands the others to stand back. He knows that this is the key to their victory. If they can overload the core, it will cause a massive energy feedback, disabling the fortress defenses and leaving Annihilus vulnerable. Thanos approaches the core, his mind already calculating the precise sequence needed to disrupt the energy flow. His gauntlet hands move over the controls with practiced ease, manipulating the alien technology as if it were second nature. For a moment, the room is silent, save for the hum of the core. Then, with a sudden surge of energy, the core begins to destabilize. The walls tremble as the power coursing through the fortress flickers and dims. But Annihilus, ever watchful, has anticipated this move. As the core destabilizes, a deafening roar echoes through the chamber. The warlord himself descends from above, his monstrous form larger and more terrifying than any of them had expected. His chitinous armor gleams with a dark, unnatural energy, and his eyes burn with hatred. Annihilus is not merely a warlord. He is a force of nature, a being driven by a primal need to destroy all life. With a snarl, Annihilus launches himself at the group, his claws tearing through the air with blinding speed. Thanos, unfazed, meets his attack head-on, blocking the strike with his gauntlet. The force of the blow sends shockwaves through the chamber, but Thanos holds his ground. The battle that ensues is nothing short of cataclysmic. Annihilus, wielding the full power of the negative zone, unleashes waves of destructive energy, each blast capable of obliterating entire armies. But Thanos, with his unmatched strength and intellect, counters every attack with brutal precision. Ronan charges in, his hammer glowing with cosmic energy as he joins the fray. With every swing, he channels his fury, his strikes hammering against Annihilus' armored body. Beta Ray Bill follows suit, his lightning-infused weapon striking with the force of 1,000 storms. The combined might of Thanos, Ronan, and Beta Ray Bill seems unstoppable, but Annihilus is far from defeated. His resilience is terrifying, his regenerative abilities allowing him to recover from wounds that would have killed any other being. As the battle rages, Nebula takes advantage of the chaos. Moving with deadly speed, she slips past Annihilus and makes her way to the core. She knows that if they are to succeed, the power source must be completely destroyed. With a few quick movements, she plants a series of explosives around the core, setting the charges for detonation. The battle reaches its climax as Thanos, in a display of raw power, delivers a crushing blow to Annihilus, sending him crashing into the walls of the chamber. With Annihilus momentarily stunned, Thanos turns to Nebula, nodding in approval. She activates the explosives, and the core erupts in a blinding flash of light. The fortress trembles as the power surges, causing catastrophic damage to the structure. The energy shields protecting the fortress collapse, and the entire complex begins to tear itself apart. Annihilus, realizing that his stronghold is lost, lets out a furious roar. But even in defeat, he remains defiant. He will not allow himself to be captured or killed by these invaders. In a final act of desperation, Annihilus triggers a self-destruct sequence, intending to take his enemies with him. The fortress begins to implode, the walls buckling as the energy contained within the structure reaches critical levels. Thanos, Ronan, Beta Ray Bill, and Nebula make a desperate escape, fleeing through the crumbling corridors as the fortress collapses around them. They barely make it to their ships as the fortress detonates in a massive explosion, sending shockwaves through the negative zone. Annihilus' empire is shattered, his forces scattered, and his stronghold reduced to rubble. But the war is far from over. The fall of Annihilus is only the first step. Thanos knows that Mephisto and Dormammu still remain, and their alliance, though weakened, will not break so easily. After the destruction of Annihilus' fortress, the Cosmic Alliance led by Thanos must now confront their next challenge: Mephisto. The Demon Lord's domain lies within the depths of a hellish dimension, a place where the laws of the universe bend to his will. Thanos knows that to defeat Mephisto, he cannot rely on brute strength or mere strategy. He is stepping into a realm where manipulation, deception, and dark magic reign supreme. Despite the dangers, the Mad Titan presses on, aware that failure here will mean not only his defeat but the total subjugation of the galaxy under the whims of Mephisto and Dormammu. Thanos' forces gather at the outskirts of Mephisto's realm, a desolate void filled with swirling mists, jagged rocks, and rivers of molten fire. The air itself feels oppressive, thick with the energy of countless souls trapped in eternal torment. Mephisto's domain is alive, constantly shifting and twisting, a place where fear and suffering fuel its very existence. Even the most battle-hardened warriors feel the weight of despair as they step into this nightmare, their thoughts clouded by the dark magic that permeates the realm. As they move deeper into this demonic landscape, Thanos senses Mephisto's presence growing stronger. The Demon Lord is not merely waiting for them. He is toying with them, watching their every move. Shadows twist and stretch in unnatural ways, and whispers fill the air, mocking and taunting the intruders. Mephisto delights in psychological torment, planting seeds of doubt and fear in the minds of Thanos' allies. Each step feels heavier, each breath harder to take, as the group pushes forward. Beta Ray Bill, ever vigilant, is the first to feel the true danger of Mephisto's domain. His warrior's spirit strains under the weight of the overwhelming dread that surrounds them. His memories, both of victory and loss, are twisted and used against him. He sees flashes of his people's destruction, distorted and grotesque, as if Mephisto himself is replaying these horrors to break his will. But Bill, driven by his unyielding sense of justice, presses forward, determined not to falter. Nebula, on the other hand, fights her own inner battle. She has spent much of her life hardened by betrayal, violence, and the shadow of Thanos' cruelty. Yet here, in Mephisto's realm, those experiences are amplified tenfold. The Demon Lord exploits her deepest insecurities, warping her memories of Thanos to make her question every decision that led her to this point. Mephisto whispers of betrayal, of the futility of her struggle, trying to break her resolve. But Nebula, sharp as ever, knows this is a game. She clings to her hatred, her driving force, refusing to let Mephisto manipulate her any further. Ronan, the Kree accuser, faces a different challenge. His sense of duty and justice has always been his strength, but here, in this realm of chaos and lies, those ideals are turned against him. Mephisto taunts him with the deaths of those he could not save, twisting Ronan's sense of failure into a crippling guilt. But the accuser, fueled by his desire for vengeance against Mephisto's allies, refuses to be swayed. He grips his hammer tightly, his resolve like iron, and stands ready for the confrontation that lies ahead. At last, they reach Mephisto's lair, a towering, obsidian citadel that rises from a sea of fire. The structure seems to pulse with a life of its own, its jagged spires reaching into the void above. As the group approaches, the temperature drops suddenly, the flames receding as if they fear what lies within. Thanos steps forward, his expression impassive, but his mind sharp and alert. He knows Mephisto will not meet them in direct combat. That is not the demon's way. As they cross the threshold into the citadel, reality itself begins to shift. The walls pulse and stretch, and the floor seems to ripple beneath their feet. Mephisto's voice echoes all around them, a cold, mocking tone that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. He welcomes them to his domain, praising Thanos for his audacity and bravery. But beneath the flattery, there is an undercurrent of malice. Mephisto's words are laced with threats and promises of eternal torment. Suddenly, the landscape changes, and the group finds themselves in a grand, twisted throne room. Mephisto sits upon a dark, ornate throne carved from the bones of forgotten gods, his form impossibly tall and slender, with crimson skin that seems to glow with an unnatural light. His eyes, like twin voids, gleam with malevolent amusement as he watches his visitors. Draped in shadow, his long fingers tap rhythmically on the armrest, as if contemplating the exact moment to strike. Mephisto begins to speak, his words dripping with honeyed venom. He mocks Thanos, calling him a fool for trying to play the role of savior. He offers them a way out, a pact, as he calls it, a deal that would guarantee their survival but at the cost of their souls. Thanos, knowing Mephisto's games too well, refuses. The demon lord's laughter fills the room, growing louder and more ominous with each passing second. With a snap of his fingers, Mephisto transforms the room into a twisted version of reality. The walls melt away, and the group is thrust into their worst fears made manifest. For Beta Ray Bill, it is the destruction of his people, relived in excruciating detail. The sight of his homeworld, once more consumed by flames, causes even the great warrior to falter. For Nebula, it is a vision of her becoming more like Thanos, her body twisted and transformed into a grotesque reflection of the mad Titan himself. And for Ronan, it is a future where the Kree Empire lies in ruins, with him powerless to save it. Mephisto revels in their torment, drawing power from their suffering. But Thanos, ever focused, is unaffected. His iron will, forged through countless trials, keeps him grounded in reality. He knows Mephisto is trying to break them, to weaken their minds so that they will falter in the coming battle. Thanos calls out to his allies, his voice cutting through the illusion, reminding them of their purpose. Slowly, the visions begin to fade, and the group regains control. Enraged by their defiance, Mephisto rises from his throne, his form shifting and expanding. His once smooth skin becomes gnarled and monstrous, his eyes burning with unholy fire. With a wave of his hand, he summons a legion of demonic minions to overwhelm the intruders. These creatures, grotesque amalgamations of flesh and shadow, descend upon the group with savage fury. The battle is fierce and chaotic. Ronan swings his hammer with unrelenting force, smashing through the demonic hordes with the fury of a god. Beta Ray Bill, surrounded by crackling lightning, fights like a force of nature, his Stormbreaker cleaving through the minions with devastating precision. Nebula, using her agility and cunning, strikes from the shadows, dismantling Mephisto's forces with deadly efficiency. But it is Thanos who commands the battlefield. With each step, he crushes the demons beneath his feet, his gauntlet fists delivering devastating blows that send shockwaves through the air. His mind is fixed on Mephisto, knowing that the Demon Lord is the true threat. He presses forward, his gaze never wavering from his target. Mephisto, now fully revealed in his monstrous form, descends upon Thanos, their confrontation inevitable. The Demon Lord's magic is vast and terrifying, bending reality itself as he lashes out with waves of dark energy. But Thanos, drawing upon his own immense power, meets Mephisto blow for blow. The Citadel trembles under the force of their clash, reality warping and shattering around them as the two titans battle for supremacy. In a final, desperate move, Mephisto attempts to trap Thanos in a soul-binding spell, a dark magic that would enslave his very essence. But Thanos, ever the strategist, has anticipated this. With a roar, he breaks free of the spell, his willpower overpowering even the darkest of Mephisto's magic. Thanos delivers a crushing blow to Mephisto, sending the Demon Lord reeling. Defeated but not destroyed, Mephisto retreats into the shadows, his form dissipating into the ether. He promises that this is not the end, that he will return, stronger than before. But for now, Thanos and his allies have won the day. As the citadel begins to crumble, the group makes their escape, knowing that their victory here is only temporary. The defeat of Mephisto has weakened the alliance of villains, but Dormammu still remains. And Thanos, the reluctant savior, knows that the final battle is drawing ever closer. As the remnants of the strike force regroup after their encounter with Mephisto, they find themselves at a crossroads. Having vanquished the demon lord, they know that Dormammu, the fearsome ruler of the dark dimension, awaits. The air is thick with tension and uncertainty, for Dormammu's power is unmatched, and he is not a being to be taken lightly. The stakes have never been higher, as the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. Thanos, Ronan, Beta Ray Bill, and Nebula stand on the precipice of the dark dimension, a chaotic realm where time and space twist into grotesque forms. The very fabric of reality is warped here, creating a landscape of swirling shadows and blinding light, a realm that reflects the darkness in Dormammu's heart. The ground undulates like a living creature, pulsating with dark energy, and strange, otherworldly beings flit through the shadows, their forms indistinct and fleeting. Thanos knows that the only way to confront Dormammu is through understanding the nature of his power. The dark dimension thrives on chaos and manipulation, and Dormammu is a master of using fear as a weapon. As they traverse this realm, the group faces hallucinations and illusions designed to break their will. Memories and fears are conjured by the very environment, trying to tear them apart. Thanos, however, remains steadfast, drawing strength from his own conviction and the resolve of his allies. As they delve deeper into the heart of the dark dimension, the landscape shifts dramatically. Towering obsidian spires rise from the ground, casting elongated shadows across the land. Ethereal flames flicker and dance around them, illuminating twisted statues that depict Dormammu's countless victories over those who dared to challenge him. Each step forward feels like a journey into the depths of despair, as the weight of impending doom presses down upon them. At the center of this dark realm lies Dormammu's sanctum, a massive fortress built from the very essence of the dark dimension itself. Its walls seem to breathe, shifting and pulsating with dark energy. The fortress emanates a palpable sense of dread, as if the very air is laced with malevolent intent. As they approach, the group feels the full weight of Dormammu's presence, an oppressive force that seems to permeate every corner of the dimension. Once inside the sanctum, they find themselves in a vast chamber filled with swirling dark energy and blinding light. At its center sits Dormammu, a colossal figure wreathed in flames, his visage shifting and changing like smoke. His voice, a deep and resonant echo, fills the chamber, reverberating off the walls as he welcomes them. He appears both amused and intrigued by their audacity to confront him. His eyes, glowing like twin suns, fixate on Thanos, recognizing the threat he poses. Dormammu offers a dark bargain, an enticing proposal that aims to seduce Thanos into submission. He speaks of power, unimaginable power that can be obtained through allegiance to him. He offers Thanos the chance to rule alongside him, to wield dominion over the universe as his right hand. In return, Dormammu seeks Thanos' loyalty, a pact that would bind their fates together. Thanos listens, calculating his response. He knows that Dormammu's words are laced with manipulation. The dark dimension thrives on deals and bargains, often resulting in unforeseen consequences. His allies urge him to reject the offer, their instincts screaming that such an alliance would only lead to ruin. But Dormammu, sensing the tension, intensifies his persuasion. He reveals glimpses of future possibilities, visions of victory over their enemies, of absolute power and control over the cosmos. In these visions, Thanos sees himself reigning supreme, his enemies vanquished, and the galaxy trembling before his might. The allure is intoxicating, but Thanos has always understood the nature of power. He knows that absolute power often comes at an unbearable cost, a price that may strip him of his own agency. With a steely resolve, he refuses Dormammu's offer, declaring that he will not be a pawn in anyone's game. Infuriated, Dormammu's demeanor shifts dramatically. The flames surrounding him flare higher, casting grotesque shadows that dance across the chamber. He unleashes a torrent of dark energy, transforming the air into a storm of chaos and fury. The chamber shakes violently as tendrils of shadow lash out, attempting to ensnare Thanos and his allies. Dormammu's voice roars through the sanctum, declaring that defiance will not be tolerated, and he will show them the true power of the dark dimension. In an instant, the battle begins. Thanos, fueled by defiance, summons the full might of the Infinity Gauntlet. The gems glow with cosmic energy, amplifying his strength and allowing him to push back against Dormammu's dark magic. The energy crackles around him, forming a barrier that shields his allies from the brunt of the onslaught. Ronan, fueled by righteous fury, charges forward, swinging his universal weapon with unyielding force. The hammer channels cosmic energy, sending shockwaves that disrupt the chaotic flow of Dormammu's powers. Beta Ray Bill, wielding Stormbreaker, joins the fray, his strikes synchronized with Ronan's, creating a dual assault that pushes back the shadowy tendrils. Nebula, agile and fierce, maneuvers through the chaos, using her cunning to exploit openings and strike at Dormammu's weaker points. The chamber is a battlefield, filled with the sounds of clashing energies and the screams of the damned, the very fabric of the dark dimension torn apart by their conflict. Dormammu retaliates with waves of dark energy, attempting to engulf the intruders in a maelstrom of despair. But Thanos, resolute and determined, stands firm against the tide, his willpower bolstered by the strength of his allies. As the battle rages, Thanos realizes that Dormammu is not merely a being of power. He is a creature of chaos. To defeat him, they must not only confront his dark magic, but also unravel the very essence of his domain. Thanos focuses his energy, channeling the power of the Infinity Gauntlet to disrupt the flow of magic that sustains the dark dimension. With each pulse of energy, he tears at the fabric of Dormammu's realm, destabilizing the connection between the Demon Lord and his power. The tide of battle begins to turn. Dormammu, sensing the disruption, becomes frantic. The shadows around him pulse violently, and the flames flicker, revealing glimpses of fear behind his fiery facade. He calls upon the essence of the dark dimension, summoning monstrous entities from the depths of his realm to aid him. Twisted beings of pure darkness emerge, their forms shifting and writhing, but Thanos and his allies press on, refusing to yield. With a final surge of energy, Thanos unleashes a cataclysmic blast from the Infinity Gauntlet, aimed directly at Dormammu. The explosion of cosmic energy reverberates throughout the chamber, illuminating the darkness with blinding light. The force of the blast destabilizes the sanctum, causing the very walls to tremble and crack. Dormammu, caught off guard, is struck by the full brunt of Thanos' power, his form flickering as the energy tears through him. As the energy dissipates, Dormammu's visage becomes one of rage and desperation. He lets out a furious roar, swearing that he will not be defeated so easily. In a final act of defiance, he reaches deep into the dark dimension, drawing upon the chaotic energies that empower him. With a burst of blinding light, he transforms the chamber into a chaotic whirlwind of shadow and fire, attempting to consume Thanos and his allies in his darkness. But Thanos, resolute and unfaltering, stands his ground. He channels the power of the Infinity Gauntlet, creating a barrier that repels the dark energies. With his allies by his side, they forge ahead, combining their strengths to confront Dormammu in this chaotic battleground. In one final clash, the energies collide, the dark magic of Dormammu against the cosmic might of Thanos. The explosion of power creates a shockwave that echoes through the dark dimension, shaking the very foundations of reality. The battle rages, but Thanos' determination shines through. He knows that victory is within reach, and he will not allow Dormammu to enslave the galaxy. With a final, desperate push, Thanos channels all his might through the Infinity Gauntlet, focusing the energy into a singular point. The blast that follows engulfs Dormammu, overwhelming his dark essence and disrupting his hold on the dark dimension. The flames flicker and dim as the shadowy tendrils retreat, revealing the true nature of the realm, a place of chaos now teetering on the brink of collapse. In the aftermath of the cataclysmic confrontation, Dormammu lets out a final scream of defiance before his form dissipates, retreating into the void. The dark dimension begins to unravel, the chaotic energies swirling as the balance of power shifts. Thanos and his allies stand victorious, but they know that the threat is far from over. The victory over Dormammu has left Thanos and his allies with a false sense of security. With the dark dimension unraveling, the group makes their way back to the physical universe, exhausted yet triumphant. They have confronted some of the most formidable foes in existence, and for a moment, there is a sense of unity among them. However, the undercurrents of mistrust and ambition run deep, especially within Nebula, whose turbulent past with Thanos clouds her judgment. As they return to the galaxy, the remnants of their forces regroup on a barren planet, a strategic location far from prying eyes. Here, they take stock of their resources and formulate their next move against the remaining villains. Tensions simmer beneath the surface, especially between Nebula and Thanos. While the others are focused on their goals, Nebula harbors her own ambitions, seeking power not just as an ally but as a potential usurper. While the group discusses their strategies, Thanos remains the unquestioned leader. He commands respect, and the others are drawn to his charisma and power. However, Nebula's resentment grows with every passing moment. She feels overshadowed by Thanos, her own desires eclipsed by his overwhelming presence. Memories of her own painful past, filled with betrayal and manipulation at the hands of Thanos, begin to resurface, fueling her desire for revenge. In the shadows of the war room, Nebula begins to hatch a plan. She recalls the whispers of Mephisto and the dark promises of power. Though she knows the risks, the allure of turning the tide and claiming her own destiny is too strong to resist. In her heart, she believes that with Thanos out of the way, she can seize control not just for herself but for the galaxy itself. As the others remain focused on the immediate threats, Nebula quietly reaches out to remnants of Dormammu's dark power that still linger in the universe, hoping to tap into that energy to bolster her strength. The day arrives when they receive word of a massive gathering of villains. These foes, the remnants of the alliance that once sought to conquer the galaxy, are planning a strike against Thanos and his allies. Thanos, always one step ahead, sees this as an opportunity to consolidate their power and eliminate the remaining threats once and for all. The group prepares for the impending confrontation, strategizing how best to ambush their enemies and secure their place in the cosmos. However, Nebula's mind races with her hidden agenda. She sees this as her chance to not only destroy her enemies but also eliminate Thanos in the chaos. With her skills in stealth and subterfuge, she begins to devise a plan to turn the battlefield against Thanos. As the others gather supplies and prepare for war, She secretly reaches out to Mephisto's lingering influence, seeking to harness dark energy that would amplify her power. As the forces of villains gather, Thanos leads his group into battle with confidence. He is unwavering, driven by a vision of a united galaxy under his rule. The two forces clash in an explosive confrontation, and the chaos of battle envelopes them. Amidst the skirmishes, Nebula moves with precision, her heart pounding with anticipation as she prepares to execute her plan. In the heat of battle, Nebula finally strikes. She channels the dark energy she has tapped into, allowing it to infuse her attacks with raw power. With a sudden surge, she unleashes a wave of energy directed straight at Thanos, catching him off guard. The blast slams into him, and for a moment, he is staggered, confusion flickering across his face. The energy surges around him, a manifestation of the dark magic that Dormammu once wielded. As the battlefield erupts into chaos, Thanos regains his footing, fury igniting within him. He realizes what has happened. His own ally has betrayed him in the midst of battle. But he also knows that Nebula is not acting alone. Her newfound power is a result of Mephisto's lingering influence. Thanos, angered by the treachery, turns his attention to her. He calls out her name, his voice booming over the din of combat, demanding to know why she has chosen this path. Nebula, now invigorated by the dark energy coursing through her, responds with venom. She reveals her true intentions, proclaiming that she will no longer be Thanos' pawn. She has seized the chance to rise above her past, and she believes that with the power she now possesses, she can claim the galaxy for herself. The confrontation escalates as the two engage in a fierce battle, energy clashing and illuminating the chaos around them. Around them, their allies are caught in the throes of combat, unaware of the true battle unfolding between Thanos and Nebula. Thanos fights with all the strength he can muster, but Nebula's newfound abilities allow her to match him blow for blow. She harnesses the dark magic that once belonged to Dormammu, weaving spells that distract and weaken Thanos. The air crackles with energy as their clash reverberates through the battlefield. Ronan and Beta Ray Bill, noticing the turmoil, fight their way through the fray, determined to reach their leader. As they push through the chaos, they are confronted by the remaining villains, who see the rift forming among their adversaries as an opportunity to strike. The fight intensifies, with Thanos and Nebula becoming the focal point of the battle. Thanos feels a surge of desperation as he realizes that Nebula has grown powerful enough to pose a significant threat. With the Infinity Gauntlet at his command, he tries to regain control of the battlefield, channeling its energy in an attempt to subdue Nebula. But she is relentless, exploiting every moment of distraction to unleash dark magic that disrupts his focus. Just as it seems Nebula might overpower him, a glimmer of doubt creeps into her heart. She remembers the bond they once shared, the moments when Thanos had offered her a chance at redemption and power without the need for betrayal. But the darkness that has enveloped her mind pushes her forward, blinding her to the possibility of reconciliation. Ronan and Beta Ray Bill finally break through the chaotic battle and reach Thanos. Together, they form a united front against Nebula, hoping to bring her back from the precipice of darkness. They plead with her to reconsider her actions, to remember the fight they have all shared and the victories they have won together. Their words penetrate the haze of ambition that clouds her mind, but the allure of power is strong. As the clash continues, Nebula is torn between her desire for vengeance and the flickering memory of camaraderie. The battle escalates, and a pulse of energy bursts from Nebula, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The force disrupts the combatants, throwing them off balance and allowing her to momentarily escape from their grasp. In the chaos, Thanos realizes that he must act quickly to end this before it spirals further out of control. He channels the Infinity Gauntlet, summoning a wave of cosmic energy that surges toward Nebula. The power envelopes her, momentarily stunning her and forcing her to confront the consequences of her actions. With clarity piercing through the fog of her ambition, Nebula sees Thanos standing before her, his expression a mix of anger and hurt. The dark energy around her begins to dissipate, leaving her vulnerable. In that moment, she faces the reality of her choices. The flicker of uncertainty in her heart ignites into a realization of the cost of her betrayal. But before she can fully embrace that truth, the remnants of Dormammu's influence surge within her, attempting to pull her back into darkness. With a roar, she lashes out one last time, trying to break free from the remnants of power she thought she had gained. However, the darkness within her begins to unravel, revealing her own vulnerabilities and fears. In that moment of hesitation, Thanos seizes the opportunity. Drawing upon the strength of the Infinity Gauntlet, he unleashes a focused beam of energy that pierces through the chaos, aiming directly at Nebula. The energy encapsulates her, not with the intent to destroy, but to purge the darkness that has taken root in her soul. The blast washes over Nebula, illuminating her in a blinding light. As the energy envelopes her, she feels the weight of her choices pressing down on her. Memories of her past, both painful and empowering, flood her mind. In a moment of clarity, she sees her true potential, not as a villain or a usurper, but as a warrior capable of greatness without betrayal. The energy released by Thanos begins to sever the connection to Dormammu's dark influence. Nebula's form wavers, caught in a struggle between the darkness she sought to wield and the light of her true self. The remnants of power within her dissipate, leaving her vulnerable and exposed. As the energy dissipates, Nebula collapses to her knees, the weight of her actions crashing down around her. Thanos, standing before her, sees the pain and conflict in her eyes. The animosity that had built between them begins to dissolve as understanding replaces it. Thanos offers her a hand, a gesture of redemption, showing that despite their tumultuous past, he is willing to give her another chance. Nebula looks up, her expression a mixture of gratitude and shame. She realizes that her path to power does not have to be paved with betrayal. In that moment, the battlefield quiets, and the remaining villains, witnessing the shift, begin to retreat, sensing the tide has turned. With the remnants of Nebula's dark influence finally behind her, the newly forged alliance of Thanos and his companions stands at a pivotal moment. The galaxy remains fraught with chaos, but they now possess a renewed sense of purpose and unity. Thanos, having regained a measure of control over Nebula, feels a powerful surge of determination. This is not just about vengeance or power. It is about restoring balance to a galaxy on the brink of destruction. As the group assembles on the barren planet they have claimed as their stronghold, Thanos addresses them, his voice steady and commanding. He acknowledges the battles they have faced and the losses they have endured, but he emphasizes the importance of their next move. The remaining villains, sensing vulnerability in their ranks, will undoubtedly strike again. Thanos understands that to ensure their survival, they must act decisively. He proposes a strategy to seek out the remaining factions of villains who have rallied together, intent on exacting revenge against Thanos and his allies. They must dismantle their networks, eliminate their leadership, and prevent any further alliances from forming. This mission will require not just strength, but cunning and strategy. As Thanos lays out his plan, he can feel Nebula's eyes upon him, filled with both admiration and lingering uncertainty. She is still processing the events of their recent battle, where her betrayal nearly cost them everything. Yet she is also more resolved than ever to prove herself not just to Thanos, but to herself. She has tasted power and understands its allure, but she also senses the responsibility that comes with it. With their mission clear, the group sets out to gather intelligence. They split into smaller teams, each taking on specific targets across the galaxy. Thanos and Nebula decide to partner together, a choice that carries both risk and promise. As they prepare for their journey, Thanos recognizes the importance of mentoring Nebula, sharing his vast knowledge of strategy and combat. In turn, she offers insights from her own experiences, drawing from her past encounters with the villains they now face. Their first destination is a planet known for its black market dealings, a hub for villainous activities. As they arrive, the atmosphere is tense and dark, a reflection of the underbelly of the galaxy. Thanos exudes confidence as they navigate the narrow alleyways, his reputation preceding him. However, Nebula is acutely aware of the danger lurking around every corner. The two remain vigilant, ready to face whatever challenges may arise. They infiltrate a gathering of low-level villains who have been plotting against Thanos, hoping to find key information that could lead them to the larger factions. As they eavesdrop on conversations, Nebula's instincts kick in. She recognizes some of the names mentioned, former allies turned foes who now seek vengeance. Realizing that they are on the verge of forming an alliance, she gestures to Thanos, and they prepare to strike before it's too late. In a swift, calculated move, Thanos and Nebula launch an ambush, surprising the gathering. Thanos uses the Infinity Gauntlet, channeling its power to immobilize several villains at once. Nebula, quick on her feet, engages in combat, utilizing her skills to take down their adversaries with a fierce determination. The chaos erupts as the villains scramble to respond, but Thanos and Nebula are a formidable pair. As the battle rages, Thanos unleashes cosmic energy that engulfs their opponents, rendering many powerless. Nebula fights with agility and ferocity, showcasing her growth since their last confrontation. She is no longer just Thanos' errant granddaughter. She is a warrior in her own right. Together, they dismantle the gathering, leaving no survivors to report back to their leaders. Once the dust settles, Thanos gathers the few remaining villains who manage to escape. He extracts information from them through intimidation and force, learning the whereabouts of the major factions still plotting against him. This leads them to a critical piece of information: a meeting of the remaining leaders of villainy who are conspiring to mount an attack on Thanos' stronghold. With this newfound intelligence, Thanos and Nebula regroup with their allies, sharing their findings. The knowledge of an impending attack allows them to prepare and fortify their defenses. Thanos, feeling the weight of leadership, knows that this is not just about personal survival. It is about protecting those who stand with him. He gathers his allies to formulate a plan, combining their strengths to create a united front. As they prepare, Thanos reflects on the evolution of his relationship with Nebula. Their bond, once fraught with mistrust and betrayal, has deepened into a partnership built on shared experiences. He recognizes her potential and is proud to see her fighting alongside him. Yet, in the back of his mind, he knows that power corrupts, and the darkness that once consumed her could resurface. The day of the confrontation arrives, and tension hangs thick in the air. Thanos and his allies set their defenses, ready to repel the impending attack. As the villains converge on their stronghold, Thanos stands resolute at the forefront, his presence commanding. He rallies his team, reminding them of their shared purpose and the stakes of the battle ahead. The battle erupts in a cacophony of violence. Thanos leads the charge, his power palpable as he dispatches foes with ruthless efficiency. Nebula, emboldened by her newfound role, fights fiercely at his side, their movements synchronized as they take down wave after wave of attackers. The chaos of battle intensifies, the sounds of clashing weapons and anguished cries filling the air. As the confrontation reaches its peak, Thanos taps into the full potential of the Infinity Gauntlet. Cosmic energies swirl around him, illuminating the battlefield as he becomes an unstoppable force. His enemies falter in the face of his power, realizing too late that they have underestimated the Mad Titan. But amidst the chaos, Thanos remains acutely aware of Nebula's presence. He catches glimpses of her combat prowess, the way she navigates through the fray with both skill and determination. However, he also senses the lurking threat of her past, the potential for darkness to cloud her judgment once more. He knows that to truly win this battle, they must also conquer the demons within. As the final waves of villains begin to retreat, their leaders are cornered. Thanos, relentless in his pursuit of justice, confronts them directly. He delivers a powerful ultimatum, offering them one chance to abandon their plots and align with him. Many are swayed by his charisma and strength, while others, driven by pride, refuse to back down. In that moment, Nebula steps forward, her voice steady and confident. She offers her perspective, reminding the defeated villains of their shared history and the consequences of their choices. Her words resonate, and some of the remaining villains begin to reconsider their allegiance. The tide is shifting, and Thanos can see that their victory is within reach. With their resolve crumbling, the villains attempt a final desperate push, but Thanos is ready. He harnesses the full might of the Infinity Gauntlet, unleashing a wave of cosmic energy that washes over the battlefield. The Force sends shockwaves through the air, disarming their opponents and forcing them to surrender. As silence falls over the battlefield, Thanos stands victorious. The remnants of the villainous alliance lie scattered before him, their power extinguished. In that moment, he feels a surge of triumph, but he also knows that the path ahead is fraught with challenges. The galaxy is still in turmoil, and new threats will undoubtedly arise. Turning to his allies, Thanos acknowledges their contributions and the strength they have found in unity. Nebula stands at his side, her expression a mixture of pride and uncertainty. Thanos recognizes her potential and offers her a place at his side, not as his granddaughter or an errant warrior, but as an equal. As they survey the aftermath of their hard-fought battle, Thanos understands that the galaxy's future hinges on their next steps. He knows that he must continue to adapt, to evolve, and to wield his power responsibly. The Mad Titan has ascended, but he is also aware that true strength lies not only in dominance, but in the ability to inspire others to rise alongside him. With the remnants of the villainous alliance defeated, the galaxy breathes a sigh of relief, but the shadows of uncertainty loom large. Thanos stands at a crossroads, his mind racing with the implications of their recent victory. While they have dismantled the immediate threats, he understands that the real battle lies ahead, one that requires not just strength but sacrifice. As the sun sets on the barren planet that has become their stronghold, Thanos gathers his allies. The atmosphere is heavy with the weight of their experiences, the echoes of past battles resonating in their minds. Nebula stands beside him, her expression a mixture of determination and concern. She has come a long way from her earlier betrayals, now fully invested in the fight for a better future. Yet, doubts still linger in her mind about the true nature of power and leadership. Thanos addresses the group, acknowledging their hard-fought victories but also the fragile state of the galaxy. He reveals his vision, a new order, one that ensures peace through strength. However, he also admits that to achieve this, sacrifices must be made. The remaining factions of villains are still regrouping, and if they are allowed to recover, chaos will reign once more. Thanos understands that to protect the galaxy, they may have to make difficult decisions.